11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
She's real fine, my 409. She's real fine, my 409, my 409.
I had no idea they made a pop song about cleaner. It's pretty cool. So welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every day at noon Eastern. That's 9 a.m. Pacific for about an hour and 90 minutes each day. We'll do 3 gun-related topics, different topics throughout the week. We run it live on YouTube. We're simulcasting it over at gunchannels.com, where we watch the comments coming in from everybody who's watching the show live. We appreciate that because that's what we're trying to do here, is use the new media. We're not trying to do a radio show on the internet. We are trying to encourage people to use this internet and these social media platforms as Second Amendment advocates. And this is a show as practice, and it's a daily look at firearm stuff. We're not led by the news of the day. We figure out our 3 topics for each day, along with our audience a couple of times a month when we schedule the show out. And we intentionally try not to follow the news of the day so that we're not following the agenda if somebody's got a plan for what they're trying to do. So anyway, we do appreciate everybody that watches the show live here on Gun Channels and over on YouTube. We'll take the best of shows, not this one, somebody's screwing right. We'll take the best of shows and put them on iTunes as a podcast. So we appreciate everybody who listens to the show now or in the future that takes the time to leave us a thumbs up or leaves a comment, subscribes to our channel. Anyhow that you use those social media platforms, use the functions, the likes, the shares. Those not only let us know that you're out there, so they give us as human beings some encouragement to keep doing the show, but they also should keep the show recommended to more listeners. All those interactions with those social media platforms are what indicate to those search engines or whatever they are that this is a show that people find interesting. So we do appreciate that help. It's not something that we can do on our own. That's why we talk about it at the beginning of every single show. So thanks to the people that do take the time to do that. Let's see, we have hosts. A bunch of us are in here today. We've got Bob jumping in from Canada. Thanks for joining.
Oh yeah, glad to be here, man.
And we got Smeggy for a moment or two, for a few minutes here while he's on break from his 9 to 5 up in Michigan, I'm assuming. Thanks for jumping in.
Yep. Yeah. How's everyone doing today?
Good. Then we got Jimmy running the show out of Phoenix. Like always, thanks, Jimmy, for doing all the work, really. We just show up.
Yeah, good to be here.
And then I am I think I'm technically still in Oklahoma. I'm about 2 hours from Dallas. And at an old-fashioned Walmart that isn't a super center. I didn't even know these things existed. I thought they blew them all up. But this is an old-fashioned Walmart where the bathrooms are the way at the back of the store, and they don't even have food. So I didn't even know these things existed anymore. So only in Oklahoma. Anyway, heading down to Dallas.
Is that like a Walmart or something then?
It's a what?
That's like the equivalent of a mom and pop Walmart?
Yeah, exactly. This is like a rogue Walmart that refused to go super center. No, seriously, that's like the first one I found, except for those little neighborhood markets, which are only food. Like I thought all Walmarts already changed into super centers at this point. I know not all of them have automotive, but I figured they all had food and everything. But anyway, that's all about Walmart. Today's episode 409. So what is 409? A car? Must have been they were singing about a car, probably.
It's a motor.
Yeah, engine, yeah.
What do you put it in? Is that some kind of crazy Dodge or Pontiac? Nobody cares about it?
No, Chevys.
Oh, then I didn't know about it. So it's bigger than a 350, I guess?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was kind of the performance motor of the late 50s, early 60s.
But it's episode 409. We've been doing this show for 409 episodes. So if you take, I don't know if there's any way to possibly do the calculations to figure out how many weeks that might be. But that's how long pretty much Bob and I have been here. I don't think there's been a show without either Bob or me. There might have been, but both of us are here for most of those. We started thinking about doing this show when Bob drove down from Arizona, or from Canada to Arizona, and helping out with some gun shows that year. And whenever that was now, 2015, is that true? And then 16. And then
15.
It was. So that's when we started the show in 15. Anyway, we went to a couple of gun shops and toured those, and thought, there's a lot of live shows out there on the YouTubes. And of course, Gun Channels helps to keep all those gun-related ones that are interesting together. And nobody was doing something daily. We thought that might be an interesting challenge. And doing it daily gives us a chance to talk about things like movies and gun shops, which there's just tons of, and guns themselves. By doing like the gun of the day or the gun shop of the day. So anyway, that was sort of the goal of the show, is to start talking about gun shops. And since we were driving around, our ultimate goal would be to drive around and explore gun shops as a thing. So we're attempting that even more now, but 409 episodes later, hopefully Bob's still having a good time. I'm guessing he is, because he's still showing up and there's never been a paycheck. Yep. And we've had people join us along the way. Z, Smeggy, Dano, Jimmy. And now we figured out how to sucker Jimmy into doing all the work. So me and Bob just show up.
Yeah, pretty much my life.
But anyway, so it's episode 409. It is Thursday, so we usually talk about training. I have no idea I guess I could flip over here. How fancy this new laptop is. And figure out what the hell our topic is. We haven't anything written in there. So even though I can flip over, there's no reason to. So what are our topics today? What are we going to talk about?
We are going to have, for the CCW topic today, EDC bug out items. So something that you would consider a bug out item or put in a bug out bag that you would every day carry. Then we have gun stuff, which is blank. And training, discussing home invasions with your family and what to do in said training situation and training for said situation. And I think both of those topics were from Angry, if I'm not mistaken.
If I turn that fan on, is the background noise really bad?
No, it's not bad.
So you guys outsourced your work to Jimmy, and now he's outsourcing it to Angry? Is anyone doing any work on this show anymore?
No, we're all like that dog right there. Except we show up. That dog wouldn't even show up.
That dog just sleeps all the time.
So, anyway, did anything happen overnight? Anything in the news? Anything on the live chats we want to talk about before we get into the show?
I missed all the chats yesterday driving. Is anything good? That was Tuesday night, or that was Wednesday night's chats. So it was Matt and Clover.
Yep. Yeah, I know Clover was talking about best handguns for, getting a kid started and all that kind of stuff. That Wednesday's his youth one. I was in the chat for a little bit, then I had to go, so I didn't listen to the whole thing, and I didn't see any of Matt's. But yeah, I didn't really gun-related news stuff. So I've got no current events to add.
Yeah, I didn't have nothing.
I got nothing other than a chat.
Six nut yesterday after the show. I stuck around the museum till about 3 p.m. and then hooked up with P226 Nut, who lives basically center of town in Tulsa. Tulsa is the kind of town where, with the highways and everything, you can probably get everywhere in about a half an hour. So he helped me out by, being ambassador to the town, knowing where all the shops are. He's lived there his whole life. So we went to, I found one, and then together we went to 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and then a surplus store. So between 3 p.m. and I think we ended up around 7, we were able to hit a bunch of good shops and basically avoid, the boring ones are the ones that are jerks or something. So got to see some really neat shops and hang out with P226 Nut a bit. That was pretty fun. There's a lot of shops in Tulsa too, so whenever anybody shows up to Tulsa for that Wanamaker show, there's definitely stuff to check out in town besides just the gun show.
Oh, and I saw that video you got to make too when you met up with Ghost.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So this morning I camped out here so that I could get this computer. You know, getting the new computer meant adding all the logins and everything to it and moving the files and stuff. So I worked on getting all that done. So I did that video when we met up with Ghost over in Arkansas. You know, he's donating a gun to the tour. So we did a video with the gun and quickly edited that this morning and posted it over on YouTube. And there's a link to the auction there. The auction ends tomorrow. So anybody's interested, more description of what's on there, accessory wise and modifications, and then a link to the auction.
Yeah, and that's still, man, that's very cool. Him doing that. And that was cool that you got to get your hands on the thing and show it off a little bit.
No kidding.
Yeah, the dog looked at it, so got the dog's approval. He didn't bark at it or anything.
Oh yeah, that's how you can know if something's legit or not. The dog likes it. And anybody that's interested over on the Gun Channel side, I'm putting the link in there to the video.
Anybody ever ate these little tiny pies at Walmart?
Oh yeah.
It turns out they're not made by tiny people. They're made by robots.
Yeah, make sure you cook those before you eat them too. I had one raw before and it didn't turn out well.
Well, you're supposed to cook those things?
Yeah, we're talking about different things. You don't have to cook these pies. What are you talking about?
Oh no? Okay.
No, these are tiny pies. In your hand.
Yeah, them little apple ones. I had it and it was like all doughy and I got sick afterwards.
Well, you can get sick afterwards no matter if they're raw or not, I think. Though.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, what's our first topic of the show here?
It isn't tiny pies?
I mean, maybe that could be a everyday carry item.
You know what's sombering though? Think about how many Walmarts there are, and there's like cases and cases of tiny pies in each of them Walmarts. So that means there's some factory someplace in Arkansas, I think, that makes billions of tiny pies every day.
What is happening?
Whoa, man, like crazy.
What happened?
Well, I was just marveling at your idea that there's someone that makes a bunch of pies.
Whole bunch of little tiny little old ladies.
No, it's not. It's robots. All right. Well, what was our first topic? Bug out bags? Bug out vans?
Just an E.
It was bug things that you would consider bug out bag items that you EDC. That we EDC.
Flashlight.
Yeah. Sometimes I carry a little like medical, little itty bitty like a little Molly bag with medical stuff in it from time to time. I'm taking a long trip or something.
Multi-tool.
Yeah.
I've been known to EDC a multi-tool in my day.
Yeah, we got one on my keychain.
I don't anymore, like in my regular jeans or whatever. I do when I'm at work, but I think of that more as, that's part of my work get up. I got all the cargo pants with the multi-tool and different things that I use for work. But one of the things I carry that a lot of people always give me a weird look when they see I have it, I carry a flint striker. Like a little chunk of flint with the little metal thing attached to it, the striker attached to it. I keep one of those in my pocket.
Yeah, that's true. You get a lighter and it gets wet, it's useless. So, yeah.
Yeah, I used to carry one in my multi-tool pouch, but I gave it away.
So this is my bag that I carry crap around in. So this is a trauma kit with one zip. You got a cat tourniquet and gauze, gloves, more gauze. And that's about it in the trauma kit because it's not a first aid kit. In the front pocket thing, I think I have another thing of gauze. So it's just all about stopping bleeding. All right, so then the main bag I leave empty. All right, this is a THE pack from Spec Ops gear made in, I forget the name of the town, Texas. So out east or west in Texas, Midland or something. I don't remember. But anyway, so it's made in Texas, made in USA, all super good 500 or whatever nylon. So super strong bag. It's got 2 outside pockets. I don't know how well, since there's nothing in the main bag, it's kind of floppy. But there's a main pocket on the outside and another main pocket on the outside, and they're divided by a gap here. So even when it's empty like this, I think you get the idea. You can use that as a shooting rest. It's designed as a hunting shooter's bag type of thing. So you've got a thing to rest your rifle on all the time. But anyway, so the inside of it is just a typical backpack style. So there's one big pouch, that's the whole thing, and then those 2 external pouches. There's some Molly on the outside, and I've got little pouches attached to it for my stuff, but the inside is just empty, pretty much. I've got 2 bottles of water in here that I just always leave in there. I happen to have a pair of these yellow high visibility gloves with like the little dots of rubber. Got them at like Harbor Freight or something, just for changing tires or something in the car. Not so well to have gloves, I guess is nice, but also just to have that extra visibility moving around out there to catch headlights. I figured that was something worth having. And that's actually going, I'm just gonna pull it out now. That was actually just in the bag to get it into the van. And this is a little spray thing of like the equivalent of WD-40 or penetrating stuff. So I just bought this stuff at like Home Depot. It's going into the van, so it doesn't normally stay in my thing. So basically though, I leave the big compartment empty. There's this little compartment here for like Camelback or something, and I leave that all empty. THE or Spec Ops in general does yellow insides, so it's again nice nylon, not that crappy weird like crumbly nylon they make in China, but real nylon, and it's yellow. So when the bag is full of little things, you can find them real easily. Or if you really had to, turn this thing inside out and it's a signal. There's a mesh pocket in the front here, which I basically always keep a pair of gloves in here. These are Nomex flight gloves. They're inexpensive to buy surplus, and they're made out of like the nylon that doesn't melt. So they're just handy for guns, or again, if you're having to work on a hot car or something. This is one of them battery packs with some AA in it. You've seen these before. It's just a way to hold a couple of batteries. This is a little bit more trauma stuff, but something if I had to throw it to somebody or, you know, have it contained. It's a Venture Medical trauma kit, which has got the quick clock crap in it. So these things are like 25 bucks retail, a little bit less if you know somebody at a gun shop. I've got a lock sacks. So basically a super heavy duty Ziploc that were made for the SEAL community, and they're just reusable bags. Now this one's years and years and years old. It finally failed, and I had stuff in here like what do you call them? Ibuprofen type of stuff, like headaches, and then seasick pills. I was having an issue with that years ago, so those will probably get ditched. I got some AAAs in there, some ibuprofens. These things are those little tiny toothbrush things with like a droplet of toothpaste and a little brush and a pick at the other end. Those are just handy in case you are away from places for a while to freshen up. Little
Oh,
tiny.
yeah, I like how all you gotta do is get them wet.
Yeah, all you gotta do is stick it in your mouth and it kind of brushes your teeth for you. Makes it feel better.
Hey, I got something to jump in real quick because you're doing a good job describing your bag there. But when you were talking about the medicine, you know, the ibuprofens and stuff, keeping a thing of Benadryl is also really helpful for bug out stuff because you never know what you might end up being allergic to. Like if you're eating some weird plant or whatever.
Or your dog or the person you're with. Yeah, that's pretty much the reasons I keep those variety of shit.
Yeah, Benadryl is one of the best EDC medicines.
So this is
Anyway.
a Night Eyes headlamp, and it's just normally like a diffuse LED, but I noticed that the battery's dead, so pointless. So that's good that I went through here. Anyway, so that's kind of always in here. It's basically, it's really It's basically a pair of gloves and another trauma kit, and then I keep my headache pills. Going back to the main pouches, though, I keep those full of the stuff. And like I say, the big pack is for, let's say you got to bug out. It's silly to think that you're not going to accumulate or collect stuff along the way, or just need to consolidate stuff. So I might have smaller bags that I can put in here or whatever. So that was on the outside. On the one side is the trauma kit. And this is just an old Army trauma kit that Sedco makes. It's made by handicapped people for the military. Kind of a cool company. This is a padded kit from Esotec, company out of California, run by Green Berets. They employ wounded vets, and everything's sewn in the USA. This is a great little kit I got at SHOT Show one year, and I don't know what it's even for. I think it's just kind of a medium-sized, all-purpose pouch. And then inside of it, I have from Esotec a little padded insert type of thing, which is just, I don't know if you can see it, it's just a piece of padded nylon wrapped pad. And I keep a GoPro in there. I used to keep my video camera when I used to do YouTube stuff. So that's a GoPro and a little tiny tripod for the GoPro, which I almost never use, but at least it keeps it padded so it doesn't get too destroyed. Down here I have a couple of, what do they call them? Belt pouches or knife pouches. One of them I just keep Spyderco in, just a medium size, is it Delica? I don't know, just the medium size Spyderco, standard sharp little knife. In case I drop mine or something, I've always got a decent knife I can go back to. And I keep it all locked up in there. That's plenty big enough to hold a flashlight or some other piece of tool. So it's sort of a slot waiting to be filled also. And then I carry a mutt, the Leatherman multi-tool, which I think was originally designed for the AR-15s. They just look super cool. And they're a nice wire cutter with the thing for doing bombs or blasting caps. But that means it's basically decent for wire stripping. Because it's made for the M16, it's got these little holes in it. So they work with an Otis cleaning kit or any of the Otis cleaning kit components. So they just give you the ability to use this as like a handle or a ramrod or something, you know, if you need a little bit more substance to the kind of those collapsible cleaning kit type of thing. In the big pocket, I keep tools and stuff, and you can tell I have everything cinched so that even with the pack closed, it doesn't get all sloppy. And when I put it on, it still remains the shape of a bag. That's just by clipping the cinch straps. And then the cinch straps would normally have, you know, all this extra strap hanging off when it's pretty empty. So you get these things from Blue Force Gear, I think, that are called, I forget what they're called, but they basically are these little plastic, oh no, they're from ITS Tactical. Or not ITS Tactical, just ITS. It's a cool company from Illinois. They make plastics for all kinds of applications, but they do quite a few military contracts. So these are US made plastic instead of Chinese crap, and they work under night vision. A lot of the plastics that look whatever color in daylight, look at them under night vision and they're bright white or they're almost glowing because they don't put UV whatever chemicals in them. So ITS worries about that. You know, they're selling stuff to the military, so all their products are going to not glow under night vision. Anyway, it's a retainer, so you just kind of loop it up and use that little piece of 550 shot cord, and it keeps your straps retained. And no matter where it might be, if it's empty or full or whatever, wherever you put it, you can, I think they're just called retaining straps or something. I forget what they're called. But they're super handy, and they keep the pack from having loose, dangly shit everywhere. Going inside, let's see. I've got a thing that goes from 1 cigarette lighter to 3, which sounds like a great idea, but it actually sucks. There's too much amperage. You can't really run 3 devices like that. I've got the thing to go, this is just extra crap I have in here because of the trip right now. Some power stuff, USBs. A pair of work gloves, though. I like gloves because you want to save your hands, especially in a bad situation. You never know what kind of crazy work you might be doing. So these are real gloves, leather, substantial gloves. In here is an old poncho, just basically a sheet of nylon with a hole in it so you can put your head through there. But it works great as a tarp or shelter. Another thing, the 1, 2, 3 batteries inside of the Surefire little gizmo that holds a spare light and 6 batteries, super strong, and kind of in a ball shape. So it's I tether it to the bag here. Just leave that in there. I have a, what do you call this thing? Monocle? A mono, whatever, just a 1/2 of binocular that I don't know if I want to look at something far away. I probably had this in here from going scouting or something. Just left it in here. Binocular, yeah.
Yeah.
Now on the outside, it's all crappy now because I don't use it very much. But I had some shock cord strung through the molly in a way that I could tether like a raincoat or I don't know the whoopee or whatever you call the poncho liner. You know, I would have been able, when this stuff was still stretchy, I could, you know, take something light and wad it in here. And since it was stretchy, when I wasn't using it, it would just go away. But that allows you, again, to carry more crap if you had to. So 550, or that shock cord can really be your friend. And then in the top pockets, I've got a couple of little pouches, kind of on the outside of the big pouch, a little pouch. This one is, I guess you'd call it admin pouch. I don't remember who made this one. This one's made by CSM. I pretty much only try to buy US made stuff. This is big enough to hold a Glock notebook. Little Leatherman. This is the pliers with the scissors in the side. So it's got both pliers and scissors. I think that's about the most useful. I guess it's called a Squirt Plus. And then I got it on a piece of 550, so it's easy to find in here, so it doesn't get lost because this pouch, it's easy to lose little stuff. I always keep a lighter in there. Never needed it, so I don't know why you guys carry around flint and steel. This thing is a cleaning kit from Multitasker. So it basically just works with that Leatherman this thing is the sight tool, I think. And then normally I have a hook on there. I don't know what happened to my hook. But anyway, it works with the Leatherman. It works with the Otis. So it doesn't weigh much and it's small. So I keep it in here if I was cleaning a gun or something. This thing is one of those things that has a brush in it for cleaning the lenses for cameras. It's worth having. This is a 2 AA Streamline. I think it's Streamline. No, it says it's Coast. But basically, you get the idea. It's about the size of a Sharpie with 2 AA's in it. This is one of them, makes these, the pepper sprays. It comes out the bottom here, out of that little hole.
Oh, is that one of them asp?
Is it asp? And you just flip this thing out of the way. You flip that out of the way. So you see how that's flipped over?
Oh, it's like the saber.
Yeah, so as you're holding it, you just, let me get this in the camera. You flip that out of the way. And now if I were to push this, it would not be locked anymore and it would come out the bottom there. So I think these are super nice. You can use them as a hold device. It's super strong. So you jab somebody with it. And then if you needed to, squirt them with the pepper spray. You can buy water charges for this so you can practice with it with water. And they're like not that expensive, but for the form factor, I can keep it in here with all my other stuff. If I have to disarm and go into New York or someplace where you can have this, I don't know if I could in New York, I didn't bother, but you know, if I went somewhere where I couldn't have something else, then maybe I could swap it out with this. I guess if it's possible, if it was a dog or something, you might have time to get in here and get it out. This thing is a sharpener. It's basically just looks like a ice pick or something, but it's made out of that diamond material. And there's a channel down it for sharpening fish hooks. And I find this to be a super useful sharpener, as opposed to those kind that are like you drag your blade through, because those are just 2 pieces of carbide that you're ripping off chunks of your blade. This is more like a stone, so you can, you know, sharpen normally. And then if you had something like a fish hook or a gut hook or something that needed a little weird channel, there's a channel in here too. These things aren't very expensive and it kind of holds in its own thing. So I think that's worth having in here. Chapstick and a Sharpie, obvious. And that's about all I carry. I sometimes would have a set of picks in here. I didn't want to carry them around here because I'm not sure going between states who considers them burglary tools or not, but having a small set of picks is worth having, I think, in a bug out bag. And mostly then is just empty space so that I can add stuff to it. You know, there's obviously no guns in here. I can add guns easily, add ammo easily, plenty of room and plenty of strength to carry all that stuff. But I think I got all the basics. Actually, there's normally, I kind of took it out of here, but there's normally like a kit about this size that just has a few tools in it, and I just stowed it in a different bag because I knew they'd both be in the van. I'm not going to need to carry tools probably. Anyway, that's a long run through my bag.
Well, I'll tell you, man, I actually got to get going here in a minute, but I just want to say that I really like your bag setup. It's obvious that you took the time to think about what type of stuff you really needed and what pouch it should be in or whatever. And I really like the idea of leaving the other stuff open, because you're right. I mean, if you're in a big bug out scenario or whatever, and then you run across like some really cool stuff that's going to be super useful, and your bag's already filled with a bunch of crap, you're either dumping some crap to pick up the canned food or whatever, whereas you can just walk by, grab the canned food, toss it in your bag, and keep going.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is you don't want to be starting off with as much as you could possibly carry. For some situations, it's just not necessary. I'll just close it with, there's a handle on top for carrying the bag around. I keep a decent carabiner, like a climbing carabiner or a locking one, like a real one. And then like now I have it just hooked to the van over there, but that way if it is somewhere, not only can I hang it, but if I had to, I could tether it with something more than what somebody could just grab it. You know, so if it was like a park bench or something, I got this 550 here. I could, you know, when you're traveling or something, you sometimes have to leave your bag sitting there. Maybe you want to hang it in a tree or something. So I just give myself a carabiner to do that right away. And again, I guess technically, if you had to, a real carabiner is useful as a key ring. You know what I mean? So there's that, and then another ITS thing are these. I don't know what they call these things. They're like plastic carabiners, basically. So they're super strong, definitely enough to hold the bag, either hold the bag or hold stuff to the bag. And they're a little different because they open with a little button latch there. So if you got it stuck on something, you just need it. I can grab the bag, push that with my thumb, and I'm gone. So a couple of different options. I like to be able to hang or attach the bag to something.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of thought put into that.
Oh, well, all right, guys. Have a good rest of the show. I'll catch you later.
Cool,
Cheers,
man.
man.
Later, Smack.
Good talking.
Now, G-Way, I was going to go over to the comments here real quick, but would there ever be a situation where you would take some of that stuff out of the bag, or do you have like duplicates of some of that stuff, like say a little medical kit you would throw in one of your pockets or something like that, or something like that?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. So depends, I guess, on the deal. Like I carry that bag around. Like if Bob's like, hey, let's go down and look at gun shops in Southern Arizona, and we're taking his truck, you know, I'll throw that bag in there with me. So maybe I'm throwing in some extra water or like a Monster or something else, you know, something in there, just the daily kind of stuff. I guess I really didn't go through that top pocket. The top pocket is all for the day. So if I'm going out with cameras, that's where I put my batteries. Or if I'm, you know, putting a vape in there or something, you know, that's where I carry that stuff, and it's right at the top. So if it's sitting there between my feet in a vehicle, that top pocket there is like my purse. It's just where I carry all my whatever crap for the day.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I'll usually throw like what I'll do is take like maybe one of my little tourniquets and then an Israeli bandage and a couple of alcohol swabs, and I'll throw them in one of my leg pockets. Then I'll have, you know, some extra stuff. I always carry a lighter with me, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, I've always got the SWAT now. I like these kind of new modern pants because you got this leg pocket or whatever. So I carry a SWAT all the time. The SWAT will work with him on any of his extremities. It'll work with a little baby, right? And I'm not it's foolish. I don't think I'm going to encounter a gunfight on this tour, but I certainly could encounter a car accident. And if I can jump the fuck out of my car and save a little baby's arm, then hell yeah, I'm going to do that with a rubber band in my pocket.
Yeah,
I know a
sure.
lot of people give SWATs shit, but I mean, I carry cats. I like cats better. If it was, something I could plan for, I'd use a cat. But if it's for, like, say, my little dog, there's no way a cat's going to work on that. Little tiny arms and little babies and, I don't know, tiny women or something. Millennials. Yeah, cats don't work on that. And the cat's just a tourniquet with me, so it's a massive tourniquet compared to my SWAT, which is just a big fat rubber band wrapped up in a piece of plastic. The cats are real tourniquets. They're like almost a nylon belt with a windlass, the thing that spins, and then a way to attach to stow the windlass and everything. So they're bulky. They're way bigger than a Snickers bar. Almost the size of an old phone.
Yeah, that's all.
Since
I
we're
don't
speaking
mind.
of brands, I went to this cool surplus store yesterday in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they had real surplus there, which is always nice. And they had these things, which are, say they are side plate carrier system, right side plate carrier, extra small, medium. So armor comes in sizes for the human beings that are wearing it. This is for extra small through medium, so it's the smaller side plate. Like somebody like me would have a side plate that's probably a little bit bigger. So this little pouch thingy looks like it holds a plate in this front part with its own little flap that goes like this to the inside. And then on this other side, I'm guessing you put your soft backer. So now you've got your plate in front that's stowed, so if you do a backflip or something, your plate don't fly out. And then you got your place in back for a backer. And then it basically ties in with like the cummerbund or something. I'm not sure what armor this goes into, but whatever the armor is, these strappings here are to go, to keep it in line with all that. So $10, and this thing is perfect size for that tablet. And then as long as I flip this thing up, if I want to stow something in here securely, I use the Velcro. Otherwise, I just put this flap this way, and it stops this one from attaching here, and it stops this one from attaching there. So now I have one flap or two flaps. I got two pockets that are separate all the way down, made out of U.S. material, Brady compliant. So that means it's U.S. material made in the USA. And then all these straps on the back, I'm just going to take off because I'm not using them. And these are multicam straps, which are super cool. You can't just go around buying multicam straps so easily. And I can use them for some other thing. But I'm thinking I'm going to wire these up or put them up the way I've got this stuff. Like this here is a cheap ass garbage. Well, my hat's in front of it, but that's because I'm embarrassed that it's a Chinese piece of garbage little pouch. I'm going to be able to replace it with this US made multicam pouch. Anyway, so that's sort of bug out. It's adding places to stow shit like the tablet. I'm thinking stow the tablet in the back and the charger cables in the front. And then boom, it's right there by the door. So I've got it from the front if I need it, and I've got it access to it back here if I need it. Surplus store saving the day again.
Man, every time I talk to you, I feel like I'm underprepared.
No shit, eh?
Oh man. Let's see here. Sean over here on the gun channel side was saying earlier, so like airplane bottles of booze with them, and you can use booze for like a disinfectant. You can use it for, I guess, if it's strong enough, fire starter, that kind of stuff. So I don't know.
I used to carry whatever that is, whatever that bottle of booze that's smaller than an airplane bottle, but it's curvy and fits in your pocket, like a hip flask or whatever.
Yeah.
I used to carry one of them in my food thing. Like I used to carry a big plastic cargo thing for all my food. Anyway, what I didn't like is that they're not well made to store and go through elevation changes and environments and barometric pressure and shit. So they started to leak is what I'm getting at. So unless you got some way to carry them upright where they're not going to have any liquid being forced onto the cap's leaked on you. So it's not a big deal. It was some kind of whiskey, I think, so it was a little sugary, but it basically evaporated. I imagine something like a vodka would just evaporate. But that's the thing. I would probably put them, or recommend putting them into some sort of a travel bottle, like something that's rugged and has a decent thread on it and a good bite, you know, so that it's not gonna just all evaporate or leak out on you.
Yeah.
But I think having some amount of booze, unless you're a drinker, then you got to have your booze to drink or whatever. But even if you're not a drinker, I think having some amount of booze as a cleaner, as a painkiller. I mean, you get smacked in the face by a horse or something, and you're not a drinker, you're going to want a couple of shots of whiskey. Makes that easier to deal with.
Yeah, it'll take the immediate pain away.
If you got a set of bone, I guess, yeah, you could use it for anesthetic-ish.
And, you know, can be used for barter.
Yeah. I know one of my bug out bags is just dedicated to the booze.
Yeah, I just dedicate the whole back of my camper.
So what, you got any preps, Bob, that you carry with you?
Nah, well, I mean, like Leatherman tool and flint and steel I don't really carry anymore. Kind of G-Webs kind of tell me that's silly because I usually carry a couple of cigarette lighters because I hate not having a lighter. So
I could see if someone only carries one lighter, having a flint as a backup, maybe if they're out camping or something like that. But yeah, I usually have a lighter in my front pocket, a lighter in my leg pocket. I'll have a light, you know, so yeah. In the car, so.
The advantage of being a smoker.
Right. There's usually fire around us.
Look at this. It fits my dog perfectly as a neck pack.
Oh, there you go.
Now you can carry shit around right in his face for me. I don't have to bend over because his face is usually right around my like knees level. So I can be like, hey, come here. And then get something out of there. And then if he drops it, I can blame him if he loses anything.
Well, that's true. And nobody's liable to try to steal it from him.
Perfect. He's just going to wear this the rest of the trip.
Now, if you got two of them, you could make them like a little backpack setup, you know, and he'd have like saddlebags.
Why buy one when you can buy two? Look, he's thrilled. Thanks, Bob. He's saying, thanks, Bob.
You can make him carry his own food.
Yeah, right. Let's put his food in there and see how long it takes him to take that thing off his neck and eat his food.
Like, I'm going back to bed.
Life is miserable.
Yeah, he looks like he's miserable.
All right, well, so I don't know. I think lighters, you know, for the long term are pointless. All you got to do is push that little plunger in there. They are a flint and steel, but that's all they are, right? All you got to do is have anything hit this and it's their dead. So I've had way too many dead lighters in my bags in the past. I still throw them in. They don't cost nothing. I only put Vicks in there. They seem to have the best, like, ability to hold their butane. Aside from the button being pushed, but like if you could put this somewhere where the button's never going to get pushed, a Bic will last lighter than any of the cheap ones, right? So I usually, but I don't assume that they're going to work. They're like, if they work, then great. You're like for however many strikes, you don't have to worry about your flint and steel or whatever. But I'll still have, I mean, in a real bug out bag, I'll have flint and steel because that lasts a long time.
Yep. But then you can do it without flint and steel. You can find your own flint and steel. You can.
Well, left it.
Yeah, depends where you live.
The steel's the hard part.
Well, not if you're scavenging. There's lots of steel around.
Well, it's a challenge, but I'm going to try to acquire flint and steel.
Yeah.
How we've ruined the show today. How bad is it? Schedule.
Yeah, we're I don't know, 3/4 of the way into it, maybe 45 minutes into the show.
And we're like one topic.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I'll just put a shout out there. A couple of guys that have been watching or listeing to, or a couple of people that have been gracious enough to let us take photographs of their stores, have shown interest in the podcast. So there's a possibility that some of the owners of the gun shops are watching. And I didn't preface it at the beginning of the show, but this is a show by regular people for regular people. We're shooters, but we're not, none of us think we're radio show hosts. None of us are trying to be the next famous radio personality. We're simply trying to stimulate conversation on guns. So our topics are a little sloppy, and the show's obviously not super structured, but I'm not trying to even excuse nothing. It's not like it's going to get better. This is just the way we like to run it. So yeah, that's why we don't charge nothing for advertising. We're not necessarily advertising your show on here. We're just getting the word out and trying to encourage people that gun shops are important. Anyway, a little narrow casting there to anybody who might be watching from any of those shops.
Yep.
Should we go into the second topic of the day?
Yeah, unless you guys got anybody you want to do for the gun channels, member.
Yeah, if there's nobody already in the list, then I've got one. But it's going to be on what's the word again? Anyway, it's non-typical. Today I'm going to do another dog. So today it's the dog from that silo. If Ghost is out there, can attest to how awesome this little dog was. So the story again is that I'm going to check out all the nuclear missile silos in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I go to like 3 or 4 of them and figure out that they're all privately owned and that they all have gates up front. So whether or not you can see them from space, you can't drive up into any of them. And I decided it's not worth driving 5+ hours in the van all around the area around Little Rock there just to see no trespassing signs. So maybe in a future trip, I'll try to contact some of the owners and explain the thing and get access to a couple of them so we can see the state of the Arkansas silo remnants. But anyhow, I kind of just decided, okay, I'm going to quit looking at these things. I'm going to go meet up with Ghost since he's sort of west of where I am, and I'm going west from there. I'll just go past Ghost. And then maybe I'll hit one more silo on the way out of town. I'm going to go to the silo of the most significance, the one that blew up when one of the workers dropped a socket wrench down there. And it was a big deal. So I told him that, and I said, okay, why don't we meet up at a gun shop? So he says, why don't we meet up at my favorite gun shop in town here? We arranged to do that. And while he gets there first, he's telling the guy about my adventure or whatever, and the guy turns out to own that silo. So we go out, we meet up at the gun shop, and it's like, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something. And we BS there for a while, and the guy gets off work at 5:30. I didn't realize he owns the shop, that the shop closes and he's getting off work, but he's closing his shop at 5:30. But he says we're welcome to follow him home, and he'll show us the silo. So how awesome is that? So we go eat and come back, and sure enough, he's there, and he's, lets us follow him out there. It's a good 40 minutes away from his shop. And we get out there, and he's got his dog in his Jeep with him from the shop. When we were at the shop, I should have mentioned that you could hear the dog in the back. So he brings his dog to work with him. So right off the bat, the member of the day is that dog. I don't know what his name is. I'm calling him Dog. Right off the bat, that dog spends most of his time either on a nuclear missile silo or in a gun shop his owner owns. So right off the bat, that dog's living a good life. Now he's driving in his Jeep for an hour home with his owner, right? That's got to be awesome for a dog. He gets to the ranch, and we kind of come in the back way through his ranch because he owns not just the silo, 10 or 15 acres, but also probably hundreds of acres all around that. So that's a whole nother story. Anyway, we come in the back way, quote unquote. And as soon as we get past the one gate where we're on his ranch, I think they call them ranches in Oklahoma, right? Or in Arkansas. They're not farms. I don't know. But he lets the dog out, ranch dog, because running out. So now the dog is pacing him in his Jeep, right? The dog got out when he opened the fence. You know how dogs will be. So he goes out, poops, and he's running around the field. So instead of coming back to the Jeep, the guy just drives, and the dog starts pacing him. So I'm sure you guys have seen dogs that run next to the vehicles while their owners are driving down an old road or whatever. And that was pretty cool, just because it's neat to see a dog who lives that life, doing it, where, it's kind of nerve-wracking for the rest of us who don't have dogs that run around next to vehicles, because I'm thinking the dog's going to get squished any moment, but the dog is running the same way he probably does around cows and horses and everything. So that was pretty neat. Then we drive around to another gate he has to open to get into the silo part, and he notices this bull. The neighbor's bull is in with his cows. So he goes, whatever he says, "Blup, blup, blup," and the dog goes a running, and he goes and herds that bull out of that corral or that area into.
We just lose G in the middle of a story.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I was just checking. I was just like frantically checking everything to make sure I didn't drop. Oh shit! I dropped. Yeah, yeah, and I was getting into the story too.
Yeah, me too. I wanted to hear what the dog did. I want to hear what the dog did.
Because I've seen. I don't know. Have you ever had the chance to be on like a ranch where you see some of the dogs that
Oh
do
yeah,
what you're talking about? That's cool stuff to me. I love that stuff.
yeah. I grew up on a ranch. I grew up on a ranch, so yeah, we had dogs that would go out and herd the animals,
Yeah.
but they weren't pets. Really, they were working dogs. You know, they might come over and let you pet them on the head, but that was about it. Other than that, they didn't want much to do with people. I just no, I got my job. I'm just doing my job.
Snuggy's out there. What happened to the bull? We're all in suspense. Like I don't even want to move on. I just want to wait and see.
I know. It's like, I want to hear the rest of the story.
Oh man. Well.
Oh well, he'll be back.
So I guess that could bring us into
Well, until G-Webs gets back and tells us what happened to the bull and the dog.
yeah. So maybe we'll do it short. Oh, never mind.
Oh, yeah. He's back. All right. We were just at the point where the dog was herding the bull out of the fence.
Oh, it ended after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, the dog was cool, and I've got some dash cam. I don't have dash cam of them herding the cow, the bull, but did I mention that once we got up to the silo, the dog just didn't care what we were doing as we were, talking about the silo or whatever. And then I asked the guy if it was okay to shoot out there. I shot at a lot of the silos, and so that'd be cool to be able to say I shot at that one. So yeah, the dog didn't give a crap that I'm shooting. So just cool. And I figured, a non-typical member of the day every once in a while. Interesting.
Yep. If only you'd got the dog's name.
I don't know if it has a name. It's a ranch dog. I'm sure it has a name, but it might not. I've met plenty of dogs that are just called Dog.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like out in the farm, you had lots of dogs that the only reason they'd have names is if the kids named them.
Yeah, exactly. Or like if there's two, so you can say like White Dog or something.
Yeah.
Brown Dog.
A lot of people out there, or some people out there, are like, I hate these cliffhanger podcasts. Because everybody was like, what happened to the dog? What happened to the bull?
Yeah.
Oh, he just chased the bull out of there. He did real good.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
Yeah, the working dogs are pretty interesting. And the thing is that, I think I was saying when you weren't in here, is like out in the farm, we had farm dogs, and they could care less about people, really. They would come over and maybe let you pet them on the head, but then all they want to do is their job. That was when they were happiest. They could be out doing something, that was productive, like herding the cattle. Sometimes even when you didn't want them to, they would just herd them around for fun, which pissed the cattle off. But yeah, the dogs were just, that they had their job, and they were not people dogs. They were farm dogs.
Yeah, but that also, it's keeping the cows aware that like that dog's the boss of them. Like when it's just out there playing around with them, like they're learning that dog tells them what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's reinforcing it, I guess.
Yeah. And it's funny that some dogs will just instinctively do it. Other dogs forget it. They're not going to they couldn't herd a freaking chicken.
it's really neat when you start seeing the bull jumping all around. You know, they're dancing all around, and the bull. I mean, maybe it's trying to kill the dog. It's probably just a scared and like not, you know, freaking out. But you know, they start jumping up and down. Bulls, even giant bulls, can jump up quite a bit. But dogs
yeah.
that are good doing that, they know how not to get stepped on. So it's, it's interesting to watch for sure. But there's no real. I doubt there's that much risk.
Not really. If the dog knows what it's doing, yeah. If just a regular dog goes out there and tries to chase cattle or horses, it'll get its head kicked in.
Yeah, dogs ain't stupid. They're faster than bulls too. But anyway, that was our mutt of the day.
Yep. Mutt of the day. That's a good one.
Well, at that, I guess we could move on. So we have gun stuff over here. Let's see. Go check the email.
Oh, he's looking. I don't know if everybody saw it. No, it's not showing up good with the camera. But I posted this thing on my breakfast yesterday, which is like barely a mile away or maybe 2 miles away from the museum. Did I talk about it on the show? Those pancakes and that order of bacon they gave you?
Oh, yeah. We were talking about that. That sounded pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I make sure people, it turns out it's a chain. There's more than one of those in town. So if you're in Tulsa, look up Hugo's. Hugo's in Tulsa. You will not be disappointed.
I wish I'd known about that when I was there last year.
Oh, yeah. Trust me. I would have definitely told you about that.
Hugo's is huge.
Huge.
Let's see here. I was just going over the comments. Nothing really. Oh yeah. For the gun stuff, were we gonna bring up gun show stuff today, or were we saving that for later?
Which one? What are you talking about? Gun show what?
Gun show strategies, something like that. I don't know. Smeggy was saying I thought you were going to talk about gun shows, I think.
Okay, so yeah, so when you go to gun shows, we were talking about this. I think you guys were either talking about early watch, probably early watch today.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys were saying, but I was thinking, yeah, it might be good because I guess you were saying how you go to a show and you spend money on the first thing you see, and then you're out of money for the rest of the show. So I learned that a long time ago, and I would go to a lot of shows, so I didn't have a lot of money at each show. I mean, sometimes you save up money or something happens, you get a bonus or something. But I always wanted to offset the price of admission, especially back when I was still paying for admission. We could have another show on how to not pay to get into gun shows, because there's lots of ways you can get into a gun show without paying. But if you're paying for admission, you're probably paying, so far, you know, $5 is the least I've ever seen at a gun show, and that's rare anymore. More like 7 or 8, and then all the way up to 20, depending on the size of the show. So you're talking $20 is significant. I don't like giving a $20 bill just to walk into a place, unless I'm going to be there for like 3 days, like at the SAR show. And it's big enough that you're going to be looking at stuff for 3 days, right? So I want to offset that admission price. So back when I was still pre-Y2K and just getting ready, I would buy my mags for my Ruger P89 or 85, I guess, at the time. So, you know, those things, they're like now, I imagine. Now it's a little bit better deal than what we had back in the day. You had factory mags or you had gun show mags. There was no Tapcos, really. There was no third-party decent mag creators, you know, or manufacturers. There was basically factory and then whatever you could find at gun shows. At least that was my awareness of it. So there was a guy that came out of Safford, Arizona, that was at every show, and he had the basically off-brand mags for half the price of Ruger mags. So I figured if I bought 2 of those, I forgot exactly the math, but I basically bought 2 of those at each show. So that's one strategy, is I would try to buy something consistently that would offset the price of admission. So that by buying those 2 mags and the admission to the show, that would have been like going to the gun shop and buying 2 mags. So in other words, I was automatically saving whatever, $4 per mag, making it worth my while going to the show. But then as a collector, I don't know what I'm going to find at the show. So sometimes you go into a show, I'm looking for this gun, or I'm looking for this ammo, or whatever it happens to be. So if you're just going in there to see what the show's got, then I like to have some paper. So instead of dragging paper with me, I'll take the the brochures or the pieces of paper they'll have at the front of the show talking about the next show. I'll just take a couple of those, turn them over, and use the backs. So now I have blank paper, and it's also telling me when the next show is. So I keep that piece of paper, and I know when the next show is. Then all I have to bring is a pen, and I would just walk around. And as soon as I saw something interesting, write it down what the price was. Depending on the size of the show, I might even write down some note as to who had it. But I think that's super critical, because you don't write it down and you try to remember. Even in a medium-sized show, and a small-sized show, it can happen if there's a lot of stuff. But in a medium and definitely a large-sized show, I guarantee you will not remember all the little stuff. Like, oh, I'm looking for this and this. Oh, but then I found that, and then I found that, and then I found that. You're going to forget about a couple of those things, those oh yeahs. So if you've got $25 or $30 to spend, you find the thing you're looking for, and it's only 22. Now you got $8. So by writing some notes down, oh, okay, I can go get that for, he wants 10. I'm sure I can get it for 8, or he's got those 2 for 4. Something, so you can. That's how I do it. I make notes.
Yeah, that's a smart way to do it. I would have to do that too, because by the time I'll start at the front of the show and then get to the back, and then like I was saying earlier, I'll either have run out of money or forget what was all the way in the front. So when I'm walking out, I'll be like, oh crap, I completely forgot about that, and already be tapped out. So yeah, notes is definitely a good idea.
Does anybody say anything out there?
I'm looking on our gun channels. Nothing on YouTube. Yeah, I guess the worst part of my strategy is the lack thereof. Just walk in there, and it's my strategy, I guess, is kid at a candy store.
Yeah, I hear you.
So do you give yourself like, I've got $30 for this show, or I got $50, or I got $500, or do you just go with more money, as much money as you have, or how do you do it?
When I run out of cash is when I'm done. I won't dip into the card. And sometimes I've been really, really tempted to, but I won't dip into the card. That's my.
Well,
so
but
if I go,
you go, okay, I got this much money to spend, and you just cash out. You bring that much money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if I got
$100, yeah, I spend whatever I have, and then I usually have to eat like macaroni and cheese for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that, though. So you can always get macaroni and cheese or whatever. Always eat something better later, but you're not going to find some collectible or something awesome or some great deal. Again, that's the kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. I got a fun stick for my high power. Woohoo! Didn't even know you could get those.
So yeah, and something cool like that'd be well worth, sacrificing lobster and steak for a night or two or something.
Yeah, because that's basically what I eat every night otherwise.
I eat mostly little tiny pies.
Oh.
Yeah.
So apparently, everybody just might agree with you.
Yeah. I'm not really seeing on the there is somebody going top Rama for a month after any show. FC 92 176.
Oh yeah, that's he's Phoenix over on the gun channel side, but yeah.
Okay, Phoenix, not Felix, but Phoenix.
Yeah, I hear the ramen noodle stuff though.
Yeah, I never got into that ramen noodles. I don't know. I just never. I don't think it was around when I was younger and poor. We had like mac and cheese or you ate rice.
I got into ramen noodles when I started getting into guns. 'Cause,
Yeah, you were broke all the time.
pretty much. So the man just has to bring home the food. He didn't never said what kind of food.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we solved it because everybody out there is pretty much silent.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move along then. What have we got here?
Break 2. Let's see here. Training. Discussing home invasions with your family and what to do in said situation, or training for said situation.
I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, if somebody breaks into your place, all you got to do is pretty much just sit up, huh?
Yeah, basically. Sit up and tell the dog go.
So, but did you have like fire drills and stuff with the kids?
Yeah, we used to do that. You know, it'd be kind of like once a year, but we'd have a fire drill. Didn't really drill for home invasions because it was just not a thing that happened where I was.
I would say if you do something for a fire drill, wouldn't it just be very similar for any other emergency? And home invasion, like you say, is such a rarity unless you live somewhere where it's a possibility. Which, you know, I guess you don't know, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Then wouldn't it be almost the same thing though? Like, you know, you're gonna get the hell out of here and go to the neighbor's house or go to that designated place down the street or whatever it happens to be. But isn't it going to be basically the same thing?
Well, pretty much. I mean, the thing is with a fire, you can get trapped on the top floor. So I used to have an escape ladder. I taught the kids how to use it and everything. So they had to.
That's what I'm saying. So let's say a bad guy is beating on the door downstairs, or bad guys are rooting through the garage or something. Would it be unheard of to have them boogie the same way they would for a fire? Just get out of Dodge and go find, you know, that spot that we have in mind. Because if they are just robbing the place, then wouldn't you just want the kids out of there? And if they're doing something worse than that, you definitely want the kids out there.
I hear you on that. Yeah, I hear you on that. But now see, check this out. The way my situation is we're on the upstairs level. So there would only be one exit for a bad guy to come in and one exit for us to go out. So it would be a little bit different than what I guess a fire drill would be, just on the fact that you might have to, you know, have somebody sit and wait or something or hide or something like that. So I guess
shelter in place.
Yeah, it could differ to that extent. Like you said, though, it would depend on the situation and it would depend on the kind of house you live in or where you live at.
So when you have a situation where you got 2 floors and you got one of them, some kind of ladder or something that either pushes out or, you know, it's something that's not permanent, or maybe even if it is permanent, is it something that it's worth the risk of having a kid deploy it and actually walk down it a couple of times so that they are familiar with it? It's not the first time they've ever experienced it under stress.
Depending on the age.
Extra dangerous.
Yeah, kids are like, if they're 5 years old, they're capable of going up and down a rope ladder. So, I mean, getting them to practice it, that makes more sense, really. Far safer than doing it the first time under stress.
Or maybe go into like a jungle gym or something that's similar, like you know, one of them rope nets or something, and just have them tear around on that for an afternoon or two to get familiar with the concept. Because it's not like a ladder, you know, a rope ladder it gives and it's all weird. It takes a lot of extra effort to keep it up and down on it.
Yep. But, you know, my plan was always I would get out first, stand underneath, and then the kids would climb out, and then, you know, hopefully the wife would make it out.
So your plan is get out, and then maybe the rest of the family will survive.
Yeah, basically.
If they can handle it.
Well, somebody's got to be there to catch them, and, you know.
Here's the plan. I'm going to get out.
Wasn't big enough to catch the kids, so.
Here's the plan. I'm going to get out, and then you do something, and I'll be out there.
Yeah, they just follow me. The original plan was, like, when the kids were little, was they'd just throw the kids to me. Because, I mean, it was only a 2nd floor, so it's not like they're falling that far.
Feel sorry for that. Getting lung all over.
Well, never had to do it, obviously, but which was good. But yeah, That's, preparedness. I mean, it's like the same reason you put a smoke alarm in your house.
Smeggy out there on the gun channel side was saying, I don't think you have to drill home invasions as much as just tell them what to do every once in a while. I wouldn't want my kids outside if they're trying to get in. Well, let's do that first one. I don't think you have to drill home invasions. Just tell them what to do every once in a while. That I can see where you're coming from with that, but like it's just like training or practicing something, getting that plan down, the route that you're going to take down, the muscle memory, I guess. It's not necessarily that, but that's my drift, I guess.
So it's not the first time you're doing it is under
Right.
all that stress,
Yeah, it'll take away some of the panic. Yeah.
Well, I think there's something too, also knowing, like having a set procedure is something for them to remember. Something, like, so now there's this stress. Now instead of just freaking out, they can, at least there's something that they can go, okay, we've talked about this. What do I do? Okay, go do that. And then they're in the midst of doing it instead of stressing out. And of course, they're getting themselves out of there, which is great. And then, by the time they're actually able to start stressing out again, hopefully the thing's over and at least they're not there. They're somewhere else to start stressing about it.
Right.
Yep.
And it gives them, like you're saying too, it gives them something to focus their mind on, so they maybe won't freak out as much. And I wouldn't want my kids to be outside if they're trying to get in. More like go to a safe room and out myself between the bad guy and the kids. I don't get why you're running away from the bad guys.
I don't want my kid out.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want
kids
to
out of the situation.
I don't think most home invasions are like swarms of people with reinforcements in the wings, right? Where the first two breaking in are just the beginning of it, and then you're letting your kids out into a whole mob of them, and they're going to steal them and run off. I think it's usually just a couple of people trying to steal your TV or your beer or something, right?
Yeah. I don't think most people...
In most fires, you're not going to be like, get out of the house and stand by the back door by the garage. You're going to be like, get out of the house and go down the street to so-and-so's house, or to like Uncle Tom's, house 4 doors down, or go to the fire department a block away, or go to the park and hang out by the bathrooms there or something. So, you're telling them to get out, like not to just stand there once they get out, but to get the hell away from there.
Yeah, don't get out and wait. Get out and run.
Point to a spot. And then that way you could be like on the phone with the cops going, I think there's somebody downstairs. So I just told my kids to go run over to the park, go find my kids, and then somebody over here to pick up this guy.
Yeah. Get behind hard cover and blast that effer if they come in the bedroom.
Now, here's another way to think about this. Instead of all living in a house like a bunch of chumps, you could just live in a van. And then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 ways out. So if somebody tries to invade me, I can either defend or get the hell out of here in different directions.
Well, there you go. I mean, the nice thing about if somebody tries to break in your van, you can drive away.
Sure. Well, yeah, that too, like the whole camper thing or van thing, like I was saying earlier. I mean, all you got to do is sit up. All you have to do is hear somebody trying to break in, and they're screwed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you just smack on anything, and they know there's somebody in there. Just smack your hand down on anything, and it'll make a noise, and then
Yeah, and most criminals aren't going to be like, oh, good, there's somebody in there, more fun. They're going to be like, oh, crap, there's somebody in there. I'm going to get the hell out of here before they see my face.
Well, especially when the dog starts barking.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Had somebody come knock on my door at like 1 a.m. about a week or 2 ago. Somebody banged on the door, and the dog barked about 3 times, and they didn't bang again.
Yeah.
Poor little old lady ran out of gas and then was accosted by wolves. Barely made her way to Bob's door, knocked on it. Dog barked. She got terrorized, thought it was more wolves, ran off into the deserts of Canada and died.
Yeah, well, we don't have desert. Well, we have deserts, but not like you guys do. And besides, the Bears would have got her before the Wolves did.
And the French probably would have got her before the Bears did.
That's true. Plus, we have those vicious Saskatchewan seals.
Oh. Well, I feel like that one has also been.
I think we've solved that one.
I feel good about all the children we saved.
Just imagine. And they'll turn out to be millennials.
I don't want to guilt them into anything, but we do have a Patreon.
Just saying, guys.
You know, we probably saved children, grandchildren. I mean, you know, think about that. How much are your children worth to you? And that's G-Web's child.
Yeah.
Trying to pet him.
It's funny. It looks just like him too.
There. I can pet him.
You sure he's alive?
Yeah, he's breathing. Hey, wake up.
Oh, yeah, look at that. His ears perked up even. What do we got for a movie today?
Really want to perk him up.
Oh, I'm going to get some.
Oh, jeez. This bag of stuff from a gun shop, but you don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, to him, it's just a bag.
Yeah. Could be food. Maybe it's food.
Food?
Leave that alone. Leave that alone.
It's like, well, you got me interested. I was having a nap.
It's a movie of the day. Opening game.
Yeah, I don't know what it is though. It's March and Ratchy.
Oh, mariachi. That came in from somebody somewhere. I forgot where. But
Mariachi. What hotel? Mariachi Hilton or something?
Nah, that was they did mariachi, then they did Desperado, and then Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Oh, okay. With that former porn star, what's his name? Antonio Banderas. That used to play porn. Yeah.
I don't know what kind of porn you were watching, but it's got what's her name?
It was on the
Salma
internet.
Hayek. Okay, well, watch whatever you want on the internet. It had Salma Hayek in it.
Yeah. Okay, that was a bonus. Yeah.
She was definitely a plus part of the movie.
Yeah.
Ruger P-89s. One of the best movies. Because Ruger P-89s is the star of it.
Yeah, Ruger's is a star of a gun movie. That's weird.
Yeah, exactly. That didn't happen very often, if ever again. So I thought that was great. But I think those movies are great. Those are independent movies. What's it, Richard Rodriguez or something?
Yep.
The first one is a student film. The first one was Mariachi?
Yeah.
Or the first one was Desperado?
The first one was Mariachi, I think, and then Desperado, then Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yeah, I thought that was great because his first one was like almost no budget, right? Just sort of like, what's his name, Tarantino or something, doing something different. And they were awesome. And then he made money or got, production money for the rest of them. And they're more big budget. They're not as good. They're a little more flashy, but I think they're neat overall. I'm going to give them 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I agree too. Like you said, it started off like a nothing film, and then the third one, what it had Johnny Depp in it and all types of star power in the third one. So I mean, yeah.
But I think those were because those guys wanted to work with him because he's such a cool director, as opposed to him trying to collect a bunch of names to make money.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes it really cool. But yeah, and then the gunplay, the action, the Salma Hayek's.
And it's a neat one. What was the other one? The one with like the werewolves and shit. Is that Once Upon a Time in Mexico?
The werewolves.
Yeah, where she's or vampires maybe.
That's Dusk Till Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn. So that's like same people, but not the same story, right? Like the different. Like they don't all tie together. They're just the same people.
Yeah, they took out Banderas, and I think they put in George Clooney or something like that. So yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, all those I thought he's a cool director or whatever. He makes good movie style. So I'm giving it 2 thumbs up. I'd say it's one of those ones where if you're like guns, it's a must watch. Just nothing else. A couple of those you got to watch, like Mariachi and Dusk Till Dawn, just to keep up with some of the references people. So.
Yeah, I've actually seen this movie, and it was pretty good actually. I thought it was the best one was the first one. Yeah, definitely. So I'll give it 2 thumbs up for sure. And Selma Hayek's in it.
I'm gonna give it 1 hard thumb and 1 soft thumb. So I'm gonna give it 2 altogether.
Hard thumbs for Selma.
Yeah, the hard one's for Selma. The soft ones because I don't know what you were talking about earlier with Antonio Banderas.
The internet rumors.
So yeah, definitely a good movie to check out if you got a day, or hell if you got a weekend. Definitely worth watching the whole series.
Yeah, that would be an interesting way to watch them. Just one after the other.
Yeah, so that was our movie of the day. All right.
Where's this going to take us to?
This is going to take us to. So what's better than having a dog in an RV or in a van when you have a home invader?
What?
Oh dang! He snuck that one in good.
I'm trying to work on my transitions a little bit. So everybody knows what that sounds means. We are going to do another music one just because I already had it set up, so we're going to do it.
Alrighty, when is it? Okay. I will watch the YouTube side.
Yeah, I'm waiting for. I've been thwarted by an ad, so hang on 1 second.
Okay. Everybody ready? Here it comes. One of these days.
Eventually, here it comes. But yeah, so pretty much what I'm going to do is play a little snip of a song, and you guys are either, or yes, and I'll do it for a couple more times, and et cetera, et cetera. So, the ad is over, and here we go. That's all you get.
That's pretty easy.
I don't know, man. Sounds like a love story.
Pretty easy.
Nothing on YouTube. Nothing on YouTube.
Oh, Smeggy got it almost immediately.
John Z Project, he got the song's title, but he didn't get the movie. So there, he got the movie now, but he's too slow. Sorry, guys. You know what happens? YouTube's got a bit of lag.
Yeah, it's Top Gun. I understand it was it's easy, but like I said, I had it lined up, or just using it. But yeah, hang on, let's see. Here.
That was
That was the theme song.
All right.
That was
the
pivotal movie for my.
Top Gun.
It was a big ass movie back in the day for when I was just. How old was I? I was just getting into high school when that came out, and I was hanging out with a bunch of people that were going Air Force. So that was a fairly significant movie for all of us at the time.
I got a lot of people to join, I think.
Yeah, I think it got people psyched about
Air Force
again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the regular weenies would join the Air Force, and then the real hard-assed guys would join the Navy because you had to land on a ship.
But I think Tom Cruise was massively popular back then, right? And that just the movie was insanely popular at the time.
Yeah, well, I don't think he was insane. Like he wasn't the big star he is now, but he was one of those Hollywood stars.
That definitely helped him to get to where he's at now.
Oh yeah.
And we see tons of references to that movie too.
Oh yeah.
And one of my actual favorite movies, Hot Shot Part D. Oh no, that was the Hot Shots was the. Yeah, that was a good one. All right, so congratulations, Smeggy. Oh yeah, Raph and Ponery out there were saying Berlin. It was in Berlin, but we're not talking about that movie. So, Smeggy, congratulations.
Yep, Smeggy. You know what that makes you? That makes you that tactical hot shot of the day. I think I woke up Oral.
Why is that Bob yelling? All right, so let's see. What do we got left here? Gun of the day?
Yeah, let's do gun of the day because G-Webs didn't like it, so that's a good idea.
All right, let me copy and paste this real quick and pull up some pictures. Oh, or paste them.
It's the Czechoslovakian ZK-383. And basically it's an interwar design after in between World War I and World War II. Czechoslovakia decided they wanted a submachine gun. So they kind of stole some ideas from people and they developed their gun. Now, I don't know if we've got any pictures of it.
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay. You'll see that it looks quite familiar to some of the early German submachine guns. Apparently, it was a hell of a good gun. Like, worked really well. It was a little funky and a little clunky looking, but well, that was a lot of the early submachine guns.
All right, there we go.
All right, so there you go. And strangely enough, it came with bipod, which was kind of odd. But as you can see, it's got the side mount magazine, reminiscent of the early MP-18, the early German submachine gun. Yeah, quite an interesting little gun. The Nazis used it in World War II because, of course, they took over all the Czechoslovakian arms factories. But yeah, it's a really cool little gun. One of those, like I say, interwar designs, or just before World War II anyway. But yeah, I figured that'd be a little something different for today. Czechoslovakian gun porn.
And what is this, 9mm? What caliber is it?
Yeah, I think it's 9. Yeah. Yeah, that's 9. So you can see it's got, you can actually see influences from all different manufacturers. The Czechs were good at that. They would look at what was available, what was around, and just kind of pick the best or what they thought was the best of the designs and kind of morph them all together. It's how they came out with just exemplary, superior type guns, such as, like the VZ58 and the Ran. No, that was Polish. VZ58 is Czechoslovakian, but yeah, the Czechs also made some really decent pistols as well, and some excellent tanks. The Germans would not have been able to invade France if they hadn't managed to take over Czechoslovakia first. They used a lot of Czechoslovakian tanks in that blitzkrieg into France, which a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah, when I first saw this folded up, I thought that was a bayonet under it or something.
Yeah, no, it's a tripod for whatever reason. It was just something they thought would be handy. But yeah, Czechoslovakians make some really good guns. I'll give them that. And they had quite the industrial base prior to World War II, and the Germans taking them over. They were quite innovative and built some really good stuff. Like I say, the Germans used a Czechoslovakian chassis from those tanks, from those actual pre-war tanks, because they were just coming out at the start of World War II, and they used the chassis all the way through the war for tank destroyers and things like that. So that famous Stug tank destroyer the Germans used in Russia quite a bit was actually used the chassis from the Czechoslovakian tanks. So yeah, they made some good stuff. That's an interesting machine gun. I thought everybody would like to take a look at that and see something a little different today. Different. It's a gun. It's a cool gun. So that's our gun of the day.
Yeah.
So
very good.
More about that. I think Forgotten Weapons has done a few reviews on it, or at least showing them. So there's more detail there than what you're going to get here. But so anyway, that's
there was like 3 pictures of them when I was going through them.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely cool.
So where are we at now? Pretty much.
Let me see. Looks like that's about it. Oh, we can go over some gun history.
Go over what?
Gun history?
Oh, right on.
Oh, what have we got for gun history today?
I'm just logging in there, so I have no idea.
Okay.
Landing in Egypt. That's all the way in 48 BC. Let's see. I didn't know that this thing went back that far. Well, hey, we were talking about Top Gun, right? Aircraft. So 3 U.S. aircraft arrived in Seattle, Washington, after completing a 22 round-the-world flight in 1924.
Oh, those would be the world cruisers, I think they were called. Yeah. There's actually somebody who's going to recreate it. With an original Liberty engine in the airplane. He's built a replica of the airplane. He's got an original Liberty engine, and he's going to fly around the world in it. Crazy. Because those engines were not good enough to last. Like, they had to change the engines on the original ones, like halfway through the journey.
Yeah, there's not really much for gun news here.
Well, we missed a military one on Sunday that I don't think we mentioned. So in 1936, Roosevelt established the last Sunday in September as Gold Star Mother's Day. That's the day that we honor the nation's Gold Star mothers for their courage, resiliency, and sacrifice. Gold Star mothers means someone has lost their child in a war. So that's the day that on the last Sunday of September is when we honor those mothers, and that represents the families, but really the moms of those who sacrificed. All
right. Yeah, that's something to think about.
We talked about earlier on the show that we do a daily show because we want to touch things on a daily basis, not because we care about the news of the day, but because there's things that are so numerous that it would take literally, 300 something days to hit them all. And gun shops, gun of the day, movies, stuff like that. One of the things that we do is the history. We do that for a couple of reasons. One is just sometimes interesting to know, like it's chocolate chip day. The other day was pancake day. Those kind of things are just nice to have around the water cooler, and you go home and tell the kids, hey, we're eating pancakes for dinner, it's pancake day or something. But things like this, the military events, those are easy to find because they exist. This one's been around since 1936. What we're not always aware of is other things. So if you notice something that either gets posted on social media or something that you're aware of, or organization that you're part of is doing some sort of an anniversary, let us know. That's one of the reasons we do the show, is to start conversations, to give people stuff to talk about. at the gun shop, at the gun show, on their podcast, wherever it might be, just at work with their friends. So if you want to help get information like that out to people, and we'd appreciate it, just so that every single day we'd like to have something unique to talk about in this gun history segment.
Yes, most definitely.
You can email us at dailygunshow@gmail.com, and that's the easiest way to get a hold of us. Or of course, we're always over on Gun Channels as well.
Yeah, probably way too much.
Well, looks like that'll about wrap us up, unless there's
I
anything.
think that does.
Well, we got our show ends now, so that means Pants or Connery will probably be doing the lobby here. So that's an open room, just like this one, that they'll post over on Gun Channels, on a channel we call the Lobby, where anybody who wants to be part of a gun conversation can just jump in, either be part of it live like this, or watch and listen, follow the text chat. A lot of people don't even watch or listen; they just follow the text chats over there. So that conversation will be going on until the primetime shows start up. Tonight is Friday. No, today's Thursday. So we got Tack Daddy out of Florida, does his Gun News Weekly. He's putting in a lot of effort on that show, so he usually spends a lot of effort getting guests and doing a format, so it's worth watching. And he does track the news of the day. He'll put up videos from YouTube and stuff that maybe somebody, whether an encounter or something, or a crime or something, they'll diagnose this stuff like that. So it's an interesting show. I think Yankee and Matt do shows on Thursdays when we're not doing the whatever he calls, Yankee calls his show on Thursdays that we do every other Thursday. I think we did it last Thursday, so this week it'll be those guys doing their solo shows, if they still do them. And then CloverTack does his show tonight, which is one of my favorite shows of the week. He talks about the shows that have been on, like ours and Yankees and Matt and the other people, Ghost, and you guys doing Hit or Miss, and all the other shows that are happening on the regular. They'll kind of talk about the topics of those shows. We also talk about some behind-the-scenes stuff on there. So I think it's a super interesting show. Like I say, one of the shows I look forward to. That'll be on Thursday. Then tomorrow, I should also mention, anybody that wants to do a show, you don't have to ask permission. Just start doing it. Let us know about it. We'll be happy to help you add it to the schedule over on Gun Channels. Gun Channels is just a place. So you don't have to have any, there's no procedure. There's no forms or anything you have to fill out. If you want to start doing a show, start doing a show. So Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, there's still plenty of room for primetime shows. But anyway, tomorrow we'll be, I want to say, there's I don't want to say the pre-show, but the day starts with early watch. And you guys start that around, I've been driving through time zones, so I know it's a couple of hours earlier than this show.
6:30 Mountain, 9:30 Eastern AM.
9:30. Okay, so 9:30 Eastern, Jimmy starts the day off with early watch. Him and Tony and Connery and Night Strike and others will jump in there. You guys talk about all kinds of stuff. It's a formatted show. Putting as much effort into that one, actually a lot more effort into his show than we ever did on this one. And now Jimmy's helping us on this show, so we'll be back here at the same time tomorrow, noon Eastern, and we'll do this show. And then Friday, of course, there's a bunch of primetime shows after as well. Always stuff to left watch and participate in over on Gun Channels. This weekend is the Gun Rights Policy Conference, starting tomorrow in Dallas. So check those last-minute flights. I'm told that last-minute flights can occasionally be cheaper than, what they say, the highly priced seats, because they know they're going to go empty. Not you, Bob. So if you're planning on doing something or you don't have other plans this weekend and you want to do something for the Second Amendment, I highly encourage you to consider jumping over to Dallas for the Gun Rights Policy Conference. I don't even know if you need to register. It's free. So just show up, and I think the worst case scenario is you show up and there's not a seat for you. But you'll definitely get lots of opportunity to network, to meet all the people that run those gun owners' rights groups, and you'll be part of removing some of this apathy. I went to a shop yesterday, and it's frustrating. He was in there talking to somebody about suppressors, and he was really discouraged. And he said, "Yeah, we got this act that's going through Congress right now, but it asks for so much that the Dems, the liberals, will never okay it." And it's frustrating. It'll definitely. It's frustrating to have somebody who's in the industry talking to a guy who's not keeping up on it to get discouraged like that. And anyway, so if you're frustrated by that and you're not willing to just to do nothing and watch nothing happen and then be content to complain about that nothing happened, then do something. And one of the ways you can actually do something is to put your body in that room in Dallas and to give that moral support, that physical support, that financial support. Mostly though, less than financial. You know, those people do their financial stuff all year long. In fact, they'll tell you that when I went to the Gun Rights Policy Conference, they'll tell you that, or they told us, money isn't the thing. They have to fundraise, sure, but they do fine at fundraising. What they need is, really what they need most is people to go through the system. They need victims, not victims, but they need people who have been unjustly imprisoned or arrested. They need cases. They need what do they call them? Defendants. They need people who we can take through the courts. Now, no one's suggesting you go out and get into one of those situations, but we're talking potentially in a country of 300 million people. There's got to be some gun owners, people that are pro-Second Amendment, that have found themselves in situations that are horrible. And just like Heller in D.C., you know, he found himself in a situation that was BS. Instead of just rolling over and complying, he fought it. He fought it to the Supreme Court level. And they've now decided the first time in hundreds of years, I don't know if it's hundreds, at least 100 years, 126 years if I remember right, it was the first decision on anything Second Amendment related. So that one individual who found himself in a shitty situation decided to at least make some lemonade out of it and allowed the groups to help him take it to the Supreme Court. It was taken to the Supreme Court, and we now have a ruling that firearms are our right. And it's not, you know, it's not the government's job to determine what firearms we can possess. So it's a super critical one. It wasn't an overall perfect win, but it's the kind of thing that was only made possible by one individual who found himself in a shitty situation, being willing to put himself in potentially a way shittier situation so that some of the rest of us can find ourselves in better situations. So that's one of the things they really need. And I'm not explaining it well, but you know, they can put the word out there better at the event. So if it's something that you're interested in either learning more about or at least encouraging, then again, I put it up on this thing the other day that I know people go to their sports games. I know people go to weddings and things like this where you have to travel, and some of these things are necessary, you know, family obligations and whatnot. You're not going to not go to a wedding or a birthday or something necessarily, but you know, some of these other things that people will attend, like consider not attending some sports game, consider not going on some kind of other vacation, instead using your time, your money, and your power to encourage these people who are fighting the good fight this one weekend out of the year in Dallas. Gun preaching.
All right. Well, now you made some good points.
Yeah, Henry over here on the Gun Channel side was saying he has a buddy going through something like that. Oh.
Yep. So, all right. Well, let's wrap this puppy up. So we like to end our show with a quote. Today's by Theodore Roosevelt. Everybody knows I like Roosevelt. But before that, I'd like to remind everybody, please like, share, subscribe. If you can find it in your pocketbook, support us on Patreon. We can use the help. The funds keep the show going, and they keep the gun tour going, which, as you know, we're finding some really cool gun shops out there.
I wrap that puppy up.
Let's wrap. Yeah, now we'll wrap the puppy up. So this is by Theodore Roosevelt. Typical vice of American politics is the avoidance of saying anything real or on real issues. Ain't that the truth? Thanks everybody for watching and listening, and we'll see y'all tomorrow for Friday's show.
Guys at websites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.